G'day bobbers and welcome to this week's YouTube vlog, and I hope we're all keeping okay as always. And I say every week and I mean it, the same as always, thanks everyone who commented last week. We seem to have got more comments than ever, and that's great because it's really good to interact with people, as long as well all the people that are subscribed. Again, I think it's one of the most amounts we've had in a week, which is fantastic. We're so close to 2,000 subscribers now. Please, if you haven't subscribed, we would love it if you do, because it'd just be nice to get to that. And then, well, it's another milestone, 3,000, which would be a long time, but we've been getting towards the point of 2,000 for a long time. So if you haven't subscribed, please do. Moving on to this week's vlog, I have Isabelle. Hello Isabelle. Hello. Here she is. It's the afternoon, it's about 3 o'clock. We are on our way to a Grand Combi. It's one that we went to many years ago, but we haven't been to for a long time. And they've rung up out the blue because it's losing pressure and they've had a few issues with it. So that's where we're going. I hope it's going to be a nice straightforward one, and yeah, I hope you enjoy it. So let's get on with the vlog. And we're here, but we've been here a little while because, as you can see, I've taken the top off the boiler. But yeah, I was talking to the customer, hence I couldn't actually show you how to take it off. It's a bit obvious, just 4 screws. Unfortunately, this screw's totally had it, so that had to be pulled off a little bit harder, as they say. Right, so this fault on this, as I said in my intro, is it's losing pressure regularly. Okay, there we go. There's your telltale. Okay, it's letting by. Now, another company has been here before and they've done some various work on it, but we're just going through this for basic checks. So the first thing I notice is we have a leak, or have had a leak on that auto air vent there. So clearly that's going to want changing at some point. I also notice, here we go, lovely heat resistant wire knot is obviously here. They've got a couple of manual air vents there, which we don't do when we fit them, but they have. They're a bit crusty, so they might need some attention. No leak coming from the magnetic filter down there. Obviously you can see the pressure relief valve's quite new on here by the looks of it, but obviously it is dribbling by, and that is a 3-bar one. See that is there? Yeah. Okay, so if you come around here, we can see that it's only just over a bar in here of pressure. Okay, so obviously that shouldn't be weeping by. So what I do as a check when I do this is I actually get hold of the filling loop here. I just pull the plug out of the burner and I turn that on, and when I put the pressure in, see how fast that shoots up there, Isabelle? It's going really fast, look. I'm hardly putting any pressure in. That's indicating that there's literally no expansion on the system. So a really good way to check that is to now go into here and check this vessel hose here. I would expect that there's a blockage there, and as I'm saying this to you, the boiler is pretty hot, but this hose is quite cool when it gets to here, so I'm suggesting we might have a small blockage in here. You can see it's kinked here as well. Okay, so that is the reason that these PRVs fail and lift. One, the water's dirty, so obviously once it's under there. Look, I hardly touch that and it just starts leaking even more. Okay, and then number 2, as you can see there, when I put pressure in it, so we'll do it again. Let me just take this out of here, Isabelle. Okay, like so. Okay, if we come back here, put your hand on the gauge there. I'm pushing a tiny bit of pressure in here. I'm not doing it fast at all, and you can see how fast that goes up. Okay, that shouldn't do that, so that is telling me absolutely no expansion. And if you leave it there, Isabelle, on that gauge there, when I take it out of the pressure, I'm hardly touching the pressure relief valve, and it's shooting down exceptionally fast. And literally, that's not even a blooming 2 teaspoons of water, so that is definitely an expansion problem. So we are going to strip it, Isabelle. Okay, first thing you need to do, safe isolation, pull the plug, which you seen me do a little while ago. Okay, what I'm then going to do is undo the burner. So it's just a 13mm. Okay, sorry if it's not the greatest quality sound, because we are in a bit of a wind tunnel here. Okay, the reason I'm removing this is just to basically allow us a little bit more access. That's good. That's just laying on there. Marvellous stuff. This isn't in the best of condition, this one, by the looks of it. So we'll just move that to one side, out of the way. Okay, so now the quickest way to drain these without going into the actual drain cocks themselves that causes the problem is, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and get a hose. I'm going to turn that one off. Like so. I'm going to get a hose, I'm going to put it onto here, and then we're just going to drain it onto the floor out of the way. Okay, so we're just going to undo this side here. It's a little drip by there, so that's letting by. That might have to have a filling loop on that. Okay, we just push that down like so. We put the hose on like so, like that, drop it down. That's it, and that'll let all the water out of the system. That shouldn't do that. That's clearly letting by that valve, so we'll be changing that in a little minute. Okay, Isabelle, I'm going to go get some stuff and I'll be back. I'm going to pull the vessel out from the side. That is heavy, so that's not looking like it's going to be very good. And as you can see, this is all pretty kinked as well. Let me try and spin that around, make it a bit better. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm literally going to undo that and let the water out of it. Okay, and then once the water's out of that, then we can just check this and pressurise this. Hopefully, we won't get wet. Sometimes we do. I would do this in a bucket if I thought it was going to be a disaster. But today is a good day. Okay, we'll stick that in there. Okay, it's just draining a little bit, so that is very heavy. So that's telling me that there's a little problem with that potentially, okay? But it might just be that it's lost its air. We'll just leave that there at the moment, Isabelle drifting, because that'll be fine. And let's just go to here. Now, we're just going to check this to make sure that we haven't got any leaks, because it looks like it may have leaked there. But I don't think it actually has. I think that's dripped from somewhere else actually. Right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to undo this end here. We're just going to put something inside and just see if there's got any air in it, like so. No, it's got zero air in it, so it needs repressurising. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stick that on there like so. As you can see, there's no water coming out either, so I just think it's just lost its air pressure. We'll just do that up. Okay, we'll stick that onto a bar. Like so. And we'll go for it. If you look, Isabelle, it's coming out of there, so we've just got to give it a second and we'll go again. And off we go. Meantime, if you look here, Isabelle, there's water coming out of this. There's clearly nothing wrong with that hose. It's been squashed at some point, but it's clearly forming out of there. So I'm happy with that hose, that there's nothing actually wrong with it. I think it was just the fact that the air pressure in this had failed, so we're just going to like push it out now. And yeah, we're just going to give it, see that there, Isabelle? It's not even coming up yet, so if you just put there, you'll see that start to raise in a minute. So that air's been coming out for a long time. That's quite dirty, that. And there we go, it's now starting to go up. So it's emptied itself of the water, and it's now starting to go up. When it gets to one part, it'll turn off, and then we're just going to see if it comes to pressure, then we know it's any good or not. Okay, so you can see that's holding at 1.02. That's not losing any pressure at all. What we'll do is we'll give it 5 minutes and we'll be back and we'll see if it's changed.
We're at this beautiful location with this lovely sunset whilst we work here.
Okay, so we're 10 minutes on now. That's at a bar. That's where it's levelled, 0.99 a bar. It hasn't really gone down at all. That's where it sits. Okay, so that's okay. That's good to go. Okay, so we're just going to take that off there. And as you can hear, it's letting by. So that's not very good. So I'd say that's exactly where our problem is. Let me just go on there again and come off. Yep, there's our problem just there. Okay, so I'm just going to go get some bits and I'll be back. Found a little stone down there, look, for some reason, or a little bit of something down there. I'm just trying to flick out whatever it is, or it's broken or something. Something is definitely broken down there. So I need to be, yeah, taking that to pieces and having a look really. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my rigging tool here and hopefully get it out, but they don't always come out. So let's see how we get on. Well, here we go. Old one out, hopefully a new one in. They don't always fit, so we'll just have to see what happens here. It's all looking okay down that hole there, so we're going to stick that one in. And there we go. And what we now do is we go again. Hopefully that's all that was. It's just a faulty serrator valve. Stick that back on. Turn it on, be helpful. And off we go. Okay, so we're 10 minutes on again, and you can see it's 1.02. Let's undo it this time and see if we have more success. There we go, bingo. So that was literally that serration valve, that was it, or however you say it. As you can see, the vessel hose is still letting by, so it's obviously fine. So that part I'm not worried about at all. So I'm just going to put this back together now, and I'll be back. Okay, I've changed my mind. That's okay. But I just cannot get that to sit properly. Okay, it's just kinked and not very good. I'm glad this one's outside because as you can see I'm making a bit of a mess here. Okay, because it's still coming out. But as I say, I just don't trust that bit there. So I've got a new one, so we might as well just stick a new one in. So all I do is I've just prepare it first. And I put some Loctite tape on it first. The reason I use tape and not glue is because the next time if it's ever changed, which is quite likely, it's a little bit easier. You don't need too much of it. If this was in a house and I was doing this, I'd either have a wet vac or to put a tray under it. But out here, I don't think it really matters. Okay, so here we go. See if we can undo it. See how brave we are, Isabelle. Oh, here we go. Well, I've got the other side undone still, so essentially still emptying the boiler to outside. So it should take a little bit of the pressure away. That's the idea. This boiler's in a bit of a mess actually. It's getting a bit tired, to be honest. It's not the best install I've ever seen. Here we go. So, one out. One in. I never over tighten these because they can snap. It's not worth it because you're trying to essentially put something that's mild steel into something that's cast iron, so it's a bit of a funny thread. It's quite tight all the way, so you haven't got to put it in too far, to be honest. Right, so for now that's going to go there. We've got our new washer and on we go. Bit of water. Making a pig's ear of this one, aren't I?
Just a bit.
Just a bit. If it doesn't quite go, because I haven't hammered it up, you can just turn it a little bit more, and that just gives you a little bit more flexibility for it to turn over. And look how much easier that's just made my life. So that's why you don't crank them up really tight to start with, because you can tighten them up further, but as soon as you undo them you have to basically reseal it again. So I'm just going to get the spanner on there, give that a little nip, like so, spin it around, and down the side we go. And as you can see now, that's a lot better. Okay, that was just kinking up before, so that's gone in there so much nicer. It's empty, it's in there, as far as I'm concerned. That's basically going to fix it. But we still need to change that, because obviously that was leaking. I've got it isolated on the mains at the moment, which means we'll change that at the same time, because obviously it comes as the kit from Grant. And then if you look up the top, Isabelle, we're going to change that pressure relief, because obviously it was letting by, and it looks like the system water's dirty here. We could do with a power flush, even though it's got a mag on it, it's not really picking it all up. So obviously as soon as the PRV lifts, then very clearly it starts going and just comes out and you can't stop it. So let's just get that bit done next. Here's the loop kit here, like so. This is where I started to do one before and stopped in the end. Okay, so basically it's going to go in like so. He says, there we go, that's good. And we're going to undo it again. So the first thing we're going to do is, this time I'm going to turn it off here. I'm going to just undo this end like so. So we can just get that out of the way. Boom, got a pair of grips. Hopefully it should undo. Okay, so we're just going to undo it. Again, we're going to drop it out. We're going to put this one in. So again, you haven't got to go mad with this one. You have to put your grip sort of the other side, but try not to damage the thread. It's sort of not the biggest, it's not the biggest one in the world, it's the biggest tap. But as you can see, if you're careful, you don't actually damage anything. And again, it doesn't have to go in miles. Just make it so it's nice for you, which would be about there. Now we're going to this side here, so just get an adjustable spanner or a pair of grips onto here. There we go. So, washer doesn't go on the pump. I'm just going to go and get a bit of paste. Okay, so I'm just going to put a little bit of paste around there. It doesn't need too much, like so. And then obviously it has a directional arrow on there, which way it's going. So we'll just pop that on. I don't know if you see, but Isabelle actually held that for me because I wasn't actually prepared, which was a bit of a schoolboy error, but there we go.
I was holding it.
Okay, she was holding it. Aim that towards you so you can see it, so it's nice, like so, about there, and give it a nip. So another one that I'm going to do today that I don't think we'll get on the vlog today, we'll have to wait and see, is I've got another one of these, and basically this whole lot was one massive white calcium, which is because they've been a leak from here. So at the weekend I ended up having to try and take it all apart back on Saturday. I ended up that nut there shattered back there, so I had to get the tube, which involves all this here, the pressure switch. Obviously I need to change the exchanger, the mixer valve, the pump at the bottom. The pump at the top was noisy, so I've got lots of bits. It's all stripped, or 90% stripped, and these two new valves are on here, and I'm going to put it all back together. So hopefully if we've got enough time today, we will show you that as well. But let's just do one job at a time. Right, so what we're going to do now is get the rest of the filling loop on, which for everyone that knows, it just screws on easy, like so, one side. And two sides. So that'll be that side fixed now, which would be brilliant. Like so. Give them a little nip. You don't have to nip them up, but I just think about some braces. Okay, so the burner's going to go back in now because to give me room to get up the top. These lines are slightly stiff, so I'm going to have to suggest that at some point this is serviced soon. But obviously I'm just here to do the breakdown at the moment. Caught them there. It's had leaks for a long time here, so I think it's been an ongoing issue, this one, to be honest with you, for quite a period of time. Let's just get that back on there. And there we go. The thing about composites is that you can change most of the parts on them, but there's a point where they come too expensive to sort of repair, and you end up replacing them. But I think this one is just about salvageable, which yeah, looks a bit rough, but I think it'll be fine, Isabelle.
That's good.
Hasn't got all the normal suspected leaking places like here either, so I think it might have been done in the past. Okay, give that a little nip, push it, make sure it's okay. There's no point in trying to put that back on there, because basically, as I said, it's a broken one. They've got it resting like that, so it's a bit pointless. Okay, so we're going to get on and get onto the top, Isabelle. Okay, pressure relief time. So it's a 3-bar pressure relief valve, which is there. Basically very similar as this one. It might be an aftermarket one actually, look, by the looks of it, because that's a genuine one, so to speak. Okay, so you've got to be careful with these. You've got a pipe just here. These can bend and snap. So the easiest way is to get a pair of grips on it first, so you know it's going to be safe. Get your spanner and gently undo one. Get that out of the way. Okay, and then you've got just down the side here, you've got one here. This is for your pressure gauge. Don't knock this, is that it will leak, and you've got to be careful you don't knock this, because that will leak as well. Sorry about that, that was rhyme ringing. Okay, so this one's a bit more trickier at the back. Okay, you've got to get a small pair of grips on it. You can't often get a spanner on here actually. So, small pair of grips on there like so. Again, grip that one, and then it undoes. It hasn't undone, everybody. Right, let's go again. It's a little bit bitty, this. God, that one's quite tight. They've done that up very tight, that one. This one, get a little spanner in there, or a big spanner. No. Let's spin this around a bit. Right, okay. Try and get a spanner on there.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. These can be like this sometimes. They can be very fiddly, or they undo straight away. Okay. Right, there we go. They're just brass, so they're really soft. So they just slide, and the spanner slides on them, and they just become a nightmare. It's also very tight on a grunt because of where it is. Right. Obviously, if you're doing one of these only, make sure it's drained because you're going to get very wet. Okay. There's no washer or anything under there. Okay, don't think there needs to be one there because there doesn't. Okay, so I'm literally going to undo it now. As you can see, Isabelle's panicking because it's a ladybird. Right, okay.
It peed on me.
Okay, so we're just going to get hold of this like this now, and we're going to undo it. Right, this one is not a genuine one. The reason I say that is because I can't see a nut on the bottom. Someone has really stuck this in here tight as well, which is not ideal at all. God, dear me, Isabelle. Normally these are just finger tight and come out, but someone's obviously crunched it in.
Was it you?
No, it wasn't me. Taking the excess off out the way, so there's no mess in the hole. As you can see, that one hasn't got a nut on, that one has. And that's got a tiny little O-ring. That's how you can tell it's a genuine one, difference in size as well. Okay, so I'm just going to put a little bit of tape around there, even though there is a O-ring there. And then we're going to do it up until it lines up where it should line up, and just nip it gently. And then we're going to use that nut just to finish it off and do it up. So we'll be back in a second when I've taped it. So taped. Just start it gently. Sometimes they can be a fiddle, and we're off. Okay, so these don't even have to be tight. Okay, I don't know why people crunch them up really, really tight. That can go one more turn, so I'll just do that. But it doesn't have to be tight, so we're just going to give that a little turn. Now this is not tight at all, in the absolute slightest. Okay, so I'm going to get to there so it's level. First thing I'm going to do is make sure that that lines up, which it does, and we know the other bit's going to go in the back. Okay, we're now going to stick this pressure relief pipe on. And then before I do it up, the little nut on here, we're just going to nip it up. And that's it, it's as simple as that. So you don't have to tighten it like the previous people did, that was very tight. We're just going to stick that back in. That should just go straight in, he says. Good old combis, here we go. Now when it comes to tightening this up, all you've literally got to do is get a small pair of grips on it, or a spanner, whatever you want to use, and literally, ready, nip. That's it, that will not leak now. Okay, and then just get a spanner on here. Like so. And again, a tiny nip. Okay? Don't want to bend the pipe, do we? Right, there we go. Right, so that essentially is all repaired now. So what we now need to do is we now need to pressurise the system. So if we come round here, Isabelle. These should be set to initially 1.5 bar. I'm going to do it with the system off at the moment. So we're just going to turn the tap on here, and we're going to turn the tap on here. But before we do that, Isabelle, we're going to turn the tap on because we turned it off up here. Let's give it some mains again. There we go. Right, here we go. So we're putting it now, it's going up steady, but it's not absolutely flying up this time. So we're just going to let that settle. That would probably just drop slightly while it's settling in. And then I'm going to put some more in it. Okay, so that's 1.5 bar up the top there at the moment. What we're now going to do is something quite clever. So you'd never fire the boiler up first. Okay, what I always do is I put my finger on the lockout button there, because unfortunately this hasn't got a separate plug that you can pull, and we'll plug it back in again. We just encourage it. We're off. So we just wait now, and in a minute you'll hear the water suddenly take over. I don't think you heard that. It wasn't loud enough. It just done it, didn't it? We didn't quite hear that, did we? I promise you that's just suddenly taken over and away it's going now. Okay, so now we're happy that that's starting to circulate, and this is also starting to warm up. I would just let that go. So what normally happens is, if you have an absolute full drain down, it normally sort of goes and then goes whoosh and goes into knife and starts bubbling. But in this case, I still think we had a lot of water in this side. So we're just going to let it warm up now. It's on 1.5 bar. We don't want that to go anywhere near 2 bar when it's hot. Okay, so at the moment that's in a really good place. We'll warm it up for the old hot water. And that's it. That's this week's YouTube vlog. And done from Button All Manor Services. And I hope you enjoyed it. So there we go. That was pretty straightforward. That was as simple as air leaking by the Schrader valve on the vessel, which obviously we put a new one in and pressurised it. Feeding loop we changed because it is letting by. The vessel hose, yes, it was letting water out, but every single time we tried to put the vessel back, it was crunching and creasing, and we just couldn't get it in the right position, so we changed that as well. And because it is lifted and it's quite dirty system water, we changed the PRV as well. Basically, it still needs auto air vents, and it needs a power flush ideally because it's filthy and lots of other little bits, but we will send them a quote for that separately. The idea of today was to literally get it going again, which we've done successfully. Something I forgot to mention in the vlog, so I'm going to make a little step. With a Grant Combi especially, what happens is you have to pressurise them to 1.5 to get them to go. Once they go, you can't just put your heating on straight away. It takes up to 20 minutes for the hot water side to satisfy, and only when it's satisfied will it then flick over to the heating. So always don't get caught out with that, because at the end of the day, don't think, yeah, the hot water's working and leave. Wait 20 minutes for it to satisfy, because quite often when the circulation pump comes off of the heating side, it basically doesn't work, it airlocks and you have to get the air out of the system. So that's a little tip, don't get caught out by that. Anyway, feel free to comment as always. I've explained about the subscribers, we're close to 2,000, so please, if you haven't subscribed. And yeah, it's supposed to be quite a good weekend this weekend, albeit a bit chilly, but it's supposed to be sunny, so that's fantastic. Have a great weekend everyone. Until next week, stay safe.